Awesome. So thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on to our Setsi leadership that we do on YouTube channel, where we get a lot of views, a lot of people who are so impressed by people like yourself that are changing the game and making history, changing lives. You are an asset to community, period. So we welcome you and we thank you for coming on to our program.
Thank you very much. I've been called many things that start with A, but an asset generally isn't one of them. So I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness. No, no, no. We're gonna put asset along with those other A's. Hey. Okay, so we always begin our sessions with our affirmation to our ancestors. So as always, we begin all things by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all of the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. Okay, so if you can please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your remarkable work.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And love the recognition piece at the start. It's a very cool thing. I think we should do more of that stuff. So my name's Kev Lawler. I have the privilege of running an organization called the Whiteboard Collective. We are a social enterprise who looks to make sustainable societal change through employment outcomes. We have a team of 9 people with a board of directors. We have 3 people on our board. I'm actually there next week. We work in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and we also work in Calgary, Alberta. That's where we currently are based and some of the areas that we work in. Essentially, we work with marginalized and racialized communities and try and help a measurable difference through employment outcomes. We do 3 things. We run all the career programs for the Pinball Clemens Foundation. We have structured corporate partnerships where we work with a corporation over an extended period of time and try to make them think differently about how they engage community, how they hire in community. And we look to make a measurable change there in sort of talent acquisition, employer branding, diversity, equity, inclusion, and I suppose corporate social responsibility as well. I think it's important that the corporations realize when you're connecting with communities, you're connecting with a couple of different areas. One is, prospective employees and advocates for your organization. And the other is your customer base. So we try to make folks think differently about that. And then last thing, we have a bit of fun with creatives that come through our programs. We'll meet a young person or somebody from community and their job is artist. They don't want to be working in a bank. They don't want to work at a consulting firm. They want their job to be art. So we purchase art off young folks. We put it on apparel, we sell the apparel, they get a commission on everything that we sell, and we donate 100% of the profit back into young people's education. So we use it to sort of give back. So that's a snapshot, long-winded, of who we are and what we do.
Wow, see? Asset, you got to put it in there, and that was definitely, everything you said was in that asset category. So that's amazing. Awesome. I love to hear that. And can you just for us articulate your mission and vision for us?
Yeah, so we naming a business is such a pain in the arse. We were trying to do it for the longest time. I was trying to somewhat integrate my culture into it. We were going to use the Gaelic word for hope, which is focus. And I thought it was cool and avant-garde. And then the lady who runs the organization with me went like, could you get your ego out of this? No one's going to know what it means. It doesn't make any sense. So what I tried to do was, how do you come up with a tagline? So the tagline, and I think it sums up our mission, our mission and our vision and what we want to do is where careers drive social impact. And we're a firm believer in that if folks are sustainably employed, if folks feel valued at work, if folks have barriers removed and perspectives broadened, they're able to give back, they're able to be better citizens, they're able to be happier. It's difficult to make good decisions. It's difficult to be a catalyst if you're struggling, to have identity, if you're struggling to pay your bills, if you're struggling to be happy, struggling to provide for your family. So for us, we wanted to really drive that narrative is career outcomes can drive social change, and that's what we want to do, and that's what we integrated into our tagline, where careers drive social impact, and that is our vision, and that's the work that we try to do. And it is about thinking differently, and for me, it's about having uncomfortable conversations. I'm a big believer in them. I think I never want to sit in a space where everyone agrees with me. It sucks. What's the point? Nothing happens. If I want to do that, I'll go see my granny. It's great. She's lovely. She loves me implicitly, and she'll tell me how awesome I am and how handsome I am. But she won't tell me, I don't know, you need to drop a bit of weight, or you need to do other things. So I think all things to say here is we try to facilitate those uncomfortable conversations that lead to productive dialogue that hopefully lead to some positive change.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Because, when you're dealing with careers and social impact, when you sit down with people that really want to honestly open up to say, okay, how can we make sure that these two really do bridge together, and there's a positive outcome coming in, and I see that's exactly your framework, and I love it. It's so necessary. Thank you. And what inspires you? What inspires you about your work?
It's really weird. So as I'm talking to you right now, I am sitting here with like 3 new staff members that are at the board table just working right now. And they're all previous students of mine. And I say of mine, the previous students of the program that I get to work with, and for the Pinball Clements Foundation, and I get to sort of play a part in their life. And I worked with all of them. They're all really, really great, and they're all amazing people. And the fact that what I thought was redundant information that lived between my ears can make a measurable difference in somebody's life blows me away. And I think inspired is probably not even the right verbiage. I'd say I'm somewhat obsessed with it. And I know people often say that, obsession can be sort of a negative connotation to those words. But I mean, I'm fascinated that we can actually make a change. The fact that I'm talking to you is I'm as surprised as you are. I'm sitting there going like, I'm a 6'2", 240-pound tattooed white guy who likes heavy metal and cage fighting. That's the things I enjoy. I'm not a DE&I person. I'm not a poli-sci grad who works in community. I'm somebody who has a corporate background in recruiting. So it's a really interesting piece, and I'm surprised that I'm here. So I think what inspires me is that we can make a measurable impact, and we've done it. I think with our partnership with the foundation, we're over 200 employment outcomes. Like, they're real numbers that have happened where people have gained employment, gained experience, and they're not like jobs at Tim Hortons. Listen, we all need coffee. There's nothing wrong with that. But they are roles that are connected to people's passions, to their education. And in some cases, some of the young people we work with, they're the first. So I suppose what inspires me is to help more people be the first, because they're the first people to graduate high school in their family. They're the first people to get 3rd level education. And then as we move forward, they can be the first person to have a job, first person to be a manager, a director, a VP, CEO, and everything in between. So I think that's it, is that we can actually do it, and it can be measurable.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're breaking those generational curses too, and also to really see the vision in people. Because a lot of times now people are really vulnerable, dealing with social media and things that are happening on a daily basis so rapidly. When you really sit down and you analyze social impact and the impact that you're making, even as an individual person, from one individual to the other, and just that alone, you know what I mean? It can really work wonders, because that one can turn into 2, which can turn into 4. And so on and so on. So amazing. Oh, cute puppy.
Sorry, yes, she will be barking if she's not sitting on my lap.
Oh,
so she's
a wonderful addition. Cute. Okay, so next question is, what challenges and barriers have you come across, and how do you or your team work to overcome it?
Yeah, so I'm going to go on 2 lenses here. So one will go community, and the second I'll go corporation, because they're 2 different challenges, and they both sort of intersect. With community, there's 2 pieces. The elephant in the room. I'm a big, tall, white dude. I don't often represent the communities that I work in. Our team is incredibly diverse by nature. When we talk about the work we do in Ontario, a lot of the folks we work with identify as Black. So we have a lot of folks who identify as that on our team. And it's important for 2 reasons. One is the efficacy of the work that we do. And 2, which is more important, is education. I need to understand cultural nuances. I need to learn about, how certain cultures work and how best to have impact, and I think I've always been humble enough to put my hand up and go, I'll have good intentions, I'll assume good intentions, and I'll ask questions. And if I put my foot in my mouth, I'll apologize, and then we'll move forward. So I think that's been a big piece, is earning stripes with community based on that barrier. And that barrier is up for good reason. I don't think that there's a bad reason why it's up there. There's been a lot of promises made to a lot of communities that don't get sort of honored, for want of a better term. The other part with community that I find interesting is, folks, I'll speak with Ontario specifically, because when we go beyond, I find different provinces are naturally a bit more collaborative. Sometimes folks are threatened by collaboration. And that can be because they rely on government funding. That can be because they think you're going to steal donors if they're in the fundraising space and things of that nature. Because we're not a not-for-profit, we're a social enterprise. So we donate time and money every month to various causes. Because of that, we're able to amplify the work of the organizations we work with by democratizing success data. So we give it back. So when we look at the challenges for us, it's twofold. One is earning our stripes with community, and then the other piece is reassuring them that collaboration is key. If you look at the most successful businesses in the world, they run cross-functional teams. If there's a project that's rolling out, technology will work in one stage, finance will work in the other, marketing will work, HR will find the people. There's lots of folks to get to a great outcome. That's sort of the area that we look to work in. So that's sort of the biggest challenge in community. When we talk about corporations, I think the biggest challenging piece is changing process, changing mindsets. The other bit that I think is really important is leadership's buy-in. It's really easy to change the color of your logo to suit whatever social cause is going on that month. I know Black History Month is an area where everybody who identifies as Black, who's in leadership, becomes this ambassador for the organization for the month of February. And I'm sure, by the way, it must be a pain in the arse to have to be that person to go out and do it. So I think the argument is that saying you want to do it and doing it are two different things. I think a lot of corporations need to understand that if they put their hands up and humbly say, DE&I is hard, diversifying your workplace is hard, and actually approach it with humility and say, well, how do we do it? Well, we interview people that don't look like they should fit our job, even if it is a strain on time or resources, because that's how you innovate your workforces. So I think senior leadership's buy-in is the hardest part. You could interview 100 DE&I practitioners and they'll probably agree with that sentence. I think we look at it took a person being killed on TV for a lot of corporations to actually invest in diversity, equity, inclusion, which sucks, by the way. It shouldn't happen that way. We shouldn't watch somebody be murdered and then go, do you know what? It's time we look after the Black folks in our organization. That's complete and utter BS. I'd like to say other words, but I won't, for the purpose of you not getting this demonetized or whatever on YouTube. But yeah, the fact of the matter is that performative DE&I is easy. Real DE&I is really hard. And I'd say that's the two challenges we face.
That's so profound, because something, it's within the Black community, and I can speak for it, is just that sense of belonging, in the sense of being aware of certain things. When I was in corporate world and jobs and stuff like that, I would see cliques of, people of the same race who identify as would tell their kind of inner secrets or inner things for, to benefit them, and wouldn't share it with the rest of people of other colors. You know what I'm saying? So I felt that as a personal experience where, hey, I want to learn about Bitcoin, but you know what I mean? There's a certain barriers that happen, and biases that happen within the workplace that nowadays, coming into this time now, I see it more as an opening. People are being more aware of certain things that we didn't know. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that I could have done all these, you know what I mean? Like, things have developed and progressed over the amount of years. People are opening up more. I think social media has done that a lot too, as one positive I'll give, right? But yeah, everything that you're saying is so profound. We need to be open now. We need to be honest. And we need to say, hey, we messed up in the past, but guess what? This is what we're all about. This is about changing lives and changing trajectory of how things went in the past. And we don't want to make those same mistakes. And if we do, let's nip it right in the bud, So.
For sure. I think there's a really interesting piece that probably doesn't get shouted about enough. And sometimes in the business world, you don't lead with empathy, you don't lead with community, you lead with numbers because it moves the dial quicker and it makes things happen quicker. Every major consulting firm that's worth its salt has actually done the research. Diverse teams perform, I think sometimes it's 22% more efficiently, and I think it's 18% more financially efficiently. So in terms of productivity and financially, more efficient, it's there. And the people who've conducted this research, it's for capitalist reasons. They're not doing it to be like, wouldn't it be crazy if we all got on? I think it's in such a way that they perform better. And listen, the analogy goes to sport. The winner of the Champions League would smash the winner of the World Cup every time, and they're way better. If you look at the Chicago Bulls when Jordan was there, they were coached by a white dude. There was a lot of random players from Europe who popped in and out when they were doing really, really well. The data is there no matter what way you slice it up. So I think we're all better for a litany of reasons. The problem is it's a pain in the arse to get it moving, and you have to grind and you have to call it out. I think another reason why we probably didn't go down the not-for-profit route as an organization is I'm a little bit anti-culture. I don't mind saying the tough things. I don't mind calling things out, and I don't really fear repercussion from it as much because I'm not worried if the government are going to cut our funding or anything like that. We work a little bit differently. So
amazing, awesome, I love it. And so, how do you feel about the future of social enterprise in Canada?
I think we're going to go through an interesting time. The economy is in a very strange place. Like I don't know where you're based, but I live in Toronto. And I travel a lot, so I see different provinces and how they're set up. If I talk about locally, I think we're probably going to see a change of government. With a change of government, that affects funding models. I've spoken to a lot of folks as I travel around the country, and what I always ask questions. The one thing that I've seen is that donor dollars, when we talk about social enterprises and things of that nature, they've gotten a bit more sophisticated. They ask questions about where their money goes, how their money's spent, what's the impact. When I look to the future of social impact, I think you're going to see a lot of folks, their biggest budget is going to go on data analysts. I think their biggest budget is going to go on technology pieces when we talk about tools like Tableau and Power BI and things of that nature, because you can tell a story and you can tell a story with numbers. And it doesn't matter if Oscar Wilde tells the first story and the most boring person in the world tells the second story, the person with the numbers is probably going to win. You know what I mean? And that's the way I sort of look at things. We do resume workshops all the time. And I don't care if it's with somebody who's 50 or somebody who's 12. We always say qualitative information with quantitative data wins the race. My think is when we look at social enterprises and charities or whatever we want to call them, NGOs, whatever verbiage, I think the future is data. We've already knew that, I think the data is going to be the thing. I'm hoping the future of these organizations isn't machine learning and artificial intelligence, because I think let the corporate folks do that. But I think when we talk about organizations who want to give back, I think they're going to be forced to be accountable with numbers, and those numbers have to, do well under scrutiny. I think that's the other thing as well. Are they going to be able to be scrutinized, and are we going to be able to push them forward a little bit more? I think that's really, really important. A big part of what we do when we work with folks is give back numbers and data. And like our partnership with the Pinball Clemens Foundation has been based all on that. We track in data, we talk about success data, we draw insights from data about good, better, how. We tend to invest based on data, we tend to pivot based on data. That's what we try to do as an organization. And it's the same with our partnership with the Pinball Clemens Foundation. As we help them scale their work across the country, a big reason that we've been able to do that is here's the numbers, here's the outcomes, this is what we do. So I hope you agree, but I think when we look at the future, I think it's going to be data.
Totally agree. I've been in other interviews too, and it's very similar as far as data collection, and that's where you really get to the root of it, So I totally agree, 100%. And so, what is your ultimate goal, and what does success look like to you and your colleagues?
Yeah, we're still figuring that one out. It's really weird. So we're really young. So I was a volunteer. I'll give a snapshot really quickly. My background is corporate recruitment. I got in a boxing fight in 2017. Had some sense knocked into me. Quit my job the Monday after the fight. Set up my own recruiting firm, and then I felt a sort of a sense of gratitude to the charitable organization who were running it, the Pinball Clemens Foundation, and I kept in touch with them. And eventually, I was a volunteer. She wants to go. Off you go. I was a volunteer in this place for a long period of time, and And then eventually my organization got to a stage where I couldn't do one or the other. I had some family changes, looking to have my first kiddo, and realized I didn't really want to be a corporate Kathy. I wanted to build something that made the world better, and I was happy about it. So me and a colleague were in my spare room with a computer. She was a part-time worker, mum of twins, and then suddenly we're a board of directors. We're 9 people working in 3 provinces, and we're sitting in a centre that we renovated here in Toronto. So where do we want to go? I think scale impact. I'm a metric guy, so I really want to get to that 1,000 employment outcomes. But then there's other micro pieces inside that. I really want to, one of our first folks, I really want them to be a director. And then I'm probably going to want somebody to be a VP, you know, and as we sort of move forward. We're a social enterprise, so we actually donate money every month. Like in our first 15 months of existence, I think we sent about $60,000 out the door in fiscal donations to various grassroots organizations. We keep doing that. It's part of our model. Like in our service agreements with corporations, when we work with them, it says we're going to give away 10% of this, and we're going to partner on it. You can get the credit as well, but it's going out the door. So I think for us it'll be probably that 1,000 employment outcome. We have a board of directors. Graham Rowe, who works for the Special Olympics. He's at the senior leadership level. Orlando Bowen, who I believe Victor knows, he runs youth leadership for like 50,000 folks a year, and he's a professional speaker and an absolute dope. And we have an amazing guy called Rowan O'Grady, who's 30 years experience in consulting. So we have all the boxes ticked. So I think that'll steer us in the right direction. I have to start asking the questions of myself: how big do I want it to be? The moment I don't get hands-on time with young people and community members, where I get to celebrate them and take them out for lunch because they got a job or a promotion, or cheer them on, the moment that stops is the moment we stop growing, and that's the way I'm probably going to try to end this thing.
Awesome. Well, I wish you much success, and I know that's going to come into fruition. That 1,000 number. I know you'll kill it for sure.
Awesome.
And okay, to end off, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action at this time?
Yeah, I think for anyone, I know that a lot of folks in the sort of social impact and community space watch this. Collaborate with a capital C. You can't be everything to everybody, and if you think you can, you're doing a lot of things not well. We will never pivot outside of careers. We will not. Our programming is somewhat culturally agnostic. It's best practices, and we share it. We obviously pivot based on our audience, but I mean, we work on outcomes, and that's all we care about. You won't see us do a lot of stuff on identity. You won't see us do a lot of stuff on cultural relevance. You won't see us do a lot of stuff on education or food insecurity and things of that nature. Our impact is careers, and we'll stick to it. But I do think I encourage collaboration. The government should probably receive 2/3 less grants than it does. I saw an amazing speaker the other day at the Black Talent Initiative. It was Craig Wellington from the Black Opportunity Fund, and he's like really smart dude and really direct, and I really enjoyed it. And he said there's probably 90 applications going into the government. There should be 30 in terms of funding, because there should be collaboration. And I echo his sentiments. I think we can all learn and do better if we put lots of heads together. And this is a problem that probably ain't going to be solved in either of our lifetimes. Let's be real. So let's build a foundation that at least it can be in the next generations. And that's the way I'm looking at it. So collaboration is key. And thank you for the time. I really enjoyed it. I got an opportunity to mind my P's and Q's in front of my new team members, and hopefully they thought it was cool.
Oh, it was amazing. You really, listen, you have to put that A for asset sticker right on the chest there, because you earned it, and you earned it with me. And, I wish you much, much success on what you're doing. This is so needed, and you are a piece of that puzzle. We all are a piece of a giant puzzle. Like you said, it might not finish in our lifetime, but at least we are getting the ball rolling. And as you said, it's a foundation. So on behalf of Setsi, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know people who watch this on YouTube will learn so much, and I'm sure get in contact with you as well. I'm sure we'll put all the information there at the bottom of our YouTube channel as well. So we will close the way that we began, by acknowledging all the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We acknowledge our ancestors and all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So Kevin, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. And kiss your beautiful child that you're telling me about, and hug your puppy. I think he's so cute.
Well, looks can be deceiving. She's a nightmare with a capital N. But anyway, appreciate you very much. Thank you for the walk down memory lane and some of the work that we've done, and I hope to collaborate again.
For sure, for sure. All the best.